Good afternoon, class. Welcome to our next lecture of Production and Operational Management. In this, we are going to discuss our next unit, which is our aggregate production planning. So, let us see what is the syllabus. As per the syllabus, we have aggregate planning, master scheduling and master production schedule. So, these two are together. Actually, this are intermediate planning. So, in this, we are going to discuss about what are the aims of aggregate production planning, costs involved in aggregate production planning. What are the strategies in which we are going to plan it? Next is master scheduling, material requirement planning, how much amount of material is required. So then the next part is manufacturing resource planning, MRP, which generally to a difference between MRP1 and MRP2. Remember that MRP1 is nothing but material requirement planning, MRP2 is nothing but manufacturing resource planning. Okay, so basing after that we will have upcoming topics like entrepreneurs resources planning, which is nothing but ASAP. So this is one of the important topics in this. So let us first understand what is an aggregate planning. So aggregate production planning or aggregate planning is an intermediate range of planning in which we are going to plan the capacity of our industry so that we can use the products or for example if you start up some industry you will have like after 10 years or 12 years you will have aim of becoming one of the big largest stakeholders of the particular product. So for planning that you will have to maintain that like you want to plan like if you want to make this your aim to come satisfied, you have to do a aggregate planning, which is like how much amount of part is required in the particular period of time. For example, if you are starting a refrigeration industry, if you can take there was a previously there were large amount of refrigeration industries like BPL, those parts are now not available. Now latest Samsung, these were not previously existing in the market. So how they have come is nothing but, so when you start planning for your industry, you will have a aim of for 10 to 15 years. So 10 to 15 years the industry will be completely different. So everything has been changed for year to year. So for that you have to plan an aggregate plan, which is an intermediate planning for the capacity planning as well as for the as far as for the workforce. Workforce is nothing but your men which you are going to have. So the goal of aggregate planning is to effectively utilize the organizational resources. When I say organizational resources, so it includes like all the things like your capacity, like your machines, like your men, like your material, everything has to be satisfiedly used so that you can have a good output from these things. Next is aggregate operational plan, how it is going to plan in an operational way. So generally aggregate production plan is used as an intermediate plan, as we have previously discussed. It is aggregate plan for a product group. Product group is nothing but, for example, if I say TV, it belongs, all TVs will come, either it is 32 inch, either it is 64 inch, either it is 45 inch, all TVs will come. So when you plan how many number of parts, how many number of TVs has to be generated by our company in this period of time, that we are going to plan. How that is our main concern. So the main purpose of this aggregate production planning is to specify the optimum utilization of the production rate. Okay, the production rate is nothing but the number of units generated per time or per unit. Next is workforce, how many number of men are working in our industry. Next is inventories in hand, how many number of storages which you are having in your hand. Okay, aggregate production planning is also known as aggregate output planning, because basing on the aggregate production planning we are going to have the output. Okay, so aggregate planning is determines the quality and the time of our future. So if your aggregate planning is good, for example, if you see Samsung, so in a particular period of time, Samsung was like launching n number of mobiles, S1, S2, S3. So this were giving a large amount of competition to the market. Similarly, Redmi. So this will decide how long your company will stand in the industry or stand in the market. Okay. So for manufacturing operation, aggregate planning involves how much amount of workforce is required, production rate, inventory is required. So the main objective of the aggregate production planning is minimizing the cost and maximizing the profit. Everyone will have the same plan. If you start a small business, your aim will be like how much I can reduce my cost and how much maximum I can obtain my profit. Next is to maximize the customer satisfaction. So if you are launching a new product, first we will try to see is the customer happy with the product. If you take any of the product, every product will try to see the customer's feedback, so that they can see that how the customer is expecting from us, how is satisfied our product. Next is minimizing the inventory investment. Inventory investment is nothing but storage investment. How we can reduce the cost of our storage, because if you are having a large amount of storage, for storage itself you have to do for maintenance. For example, you are having an iron industry. If you are having large amount of iron in your warehouse, to protect it from rusting, to protect it from dust, or to protect it from anything, you have to maintain, you have to take care some steps, okay, so which is again a cost involving for you. So you have to reduce that inventory. Next is to minimize the change in production. Change in production is nothing but you for example, you are producing 100 parts every day. So if some particular company wants you to produce 200 parts per day, so suddenly you cannot change your whole industry from 100 parts to 200 parts, means you require large amount of men, you require large amount of machines, which is all of a sudden is not possible. So no industry tries to change that. They will try to minimize that change. So aggregate plannings are generally, if you see, there are three different types of plan. One is short term plan, one is long term plan, another is intermediate plan. So the long term plans are generally planned by CEOs of the company or the top level management. They will see how much amount of investment we have. With this investment, how many number of facilities we can provide, like how many number of materials we can buy, how many number of labors we can hire. So this is a headache of a top level management. If you see intermediate range of planning, which is like workforce, overtimes, like how much amount of parts can be generated in one day, how many parts can be generated in a week, in a day. So that will be headache of a manager or a headache of a supervisor. Okay, so this is a mid-level management. Whereas if you see the short-term management or short-term range, this will be a headache of a labor, especially lower level management. So how many number of parts are required for me to complete the task. For example, if I am giving a task to labor, he will first ask, sir, give me the inputs, like what are the tools, what are the number of materials, that he will ask. So if you see this, what are the detailed plans? In short term, we will plan for machine loading, job assignment, sequencing of jobs, order quantities, work scheduling. Whereas in general levels, if you see, whereas in intermediate planning, we will plan for employments, how many number of employments are required for the parts to generate, how much amount of output is required in this particular period of time, what are the finished goods, how many number of inventories are there. So if you are not able to produce parts, whom you have to give the subcontracting. These are intermediate plans. Long range plans are nothing but your industry, your name, your layout, your product design, like this. Okay. So again, if you see in market plan, in generally in medium scale industries or in medium level, if it is a market plan, what is the target of the market? Target of the market means if you take some winter season, how much amount of like winter products, like your sweaters, like your jackets are needed. So who are all the main competitions for us in this industry? Like if you are taking it as a winter season, if it is a summer season, you can see the cool drinks or you can see the juices. So what are the competitions for us? Next is how much is the margin in this? So is there any new product who's coming in competition with us? So these are for that particular season or particular period, okay, of that 6 or 12 months. Next is production plan. For making this whatever the market target you have, so if you want to satisfy that, what are you are going to produce? Like how many number of parts you are going to produce, how many number of workforce is required. In terms of financial cases, if you see how much amount we are going to get in this particular period of time, how much amount we are going to invest in some production, what is the way of cash is flowing, either in terms of investment, either in terms of sales, either in terms of share market. So what are the cash flowing into our industry? In terms of plan, what are the new types of parts which you can make in this industry, like R&D, like changes in the product design, changes in the process design, how we can change the process. For example, if you take previously, if you take the lathe machine, the lathe machines were traditional lathe machines. So if you want to change the process, you can buy latest lathe machines like turret lathe, hexagonal lathe, or you can use CNC lathe machines in this way. So what is the latest technology which you can adopt to your production so that you can reduce the cost and you can maximize your profit? Okay. So the concept of aggregation itself is nothing but the summation, you can say. Aggregate is nothing but the summation. Aggregate planning is a big picture in which we will not focus on a particular part. Either if you say TV, we will not particularly focus on 32 inches TV. Okay, so we will focus all TVs together as a Samsung industry, as a LG industry. So I am planning to launch 100,000 parts of TVs in this particular month or in this particular year. So how I have to plan? How many number of, so among the 1,000 parts, so you will plan, is 32 is more selling or 52 is more selling. So generally most of the people will try to buy 32. Okay, so even if it is a lower class family or a middle class family, so basing on that, what you will plan, you will try to produce 600 TVs of 32 inches and 400 TVs of 52 inches or different scales, different ranges, because the demand for the product of 32 inch is more. So as a big picture, if you see, we are going to produce 1,000 parts. However, among that also, how many parts are to be produced? 32 inches, 42 inches. That planning is nothing but master production schedule. That is the output of the aggregate production planning. Okay, so this aggregate plannings will be changed basing upon the demands. So demand based option is nothing but, if the demands are going to change, we will try to change our pattern. Like you are going to take subcontracting, you are trying to give the orders, you are going to take overtiming. Now these things you are going to do. Capacity planning, how the capacity, suddenly you cannot change your capacity from 10 machines to 50 machines or 10 machines to 20 machines. Again here you are going to change your capacity based option by overtiming of the employee or by taking subcontracting. So demand based option, if you see, if you want to take the demand, what is nothing but if you want to increase the finished goods inventories, you will try to anticipate high demand. Even though the demand is not there, you will try to produce more amount of parts. When the demand suddenly comes, you will take the parts which, when the demand is not there, you will take those parts and you will now sell. Okay, that is nothing but called as back ordering. So which was you have already produced in the previous session, you will take the parts from them and you will give now. Next is shift demand to peak of times. Next is shift wise demand. If you want to improve your production, you will try to do shift wise production. Okay, in capacity planning, if it is a short term planning, you will try to pay the employers for what we say. Suddenly now you generally you are trying to produce 100 parts every day. Suddenly your one customer is coming on that day and he is saying, I need 150 parts. So for 50 parts, I need not to go for a subcontracting. What I will do, I will tell my employees who are all interested, try to do a overtime. So they will try to do the overtiming of that particular day, and I will try to achieve that 50 jobs which are required for the customer. Okay, in this way overtiming will be given. Next is ideal timing. If there is an ideal time, suddenly for example the demand for that particular day, instead of 100 it suddenly falls to 50, I will not tell the employees that I want only 50 products, because if I tell the 50 products, the output of the labor will be reduced. So I will tell I will reduce the ideal time by making only 100 parts, and I will store the 50 parts as my back ordering. Next is subcontracting. If some operations are not available in my industry, so I will try to give subcontracting to the other industries. For example, you take any of the automobile industries, no industry is there which produce all parts especially. So for example, if you take Toyota, for making of the chassis they go for different subcontracting. For making of tiles they go for subcontracting. But again, when the product comes in the market, they will have their own logo. Okay, subcontracting will be given. Hiring and firing of the workers. So if there is a sudden demand in the product, we will try to hire the employees. If there is a suddenly reduce in the product, or there is no sales of the product, or there is no demand for the product, we will try to reduce our workforce by what we do, we will try to fire the workers. So for doing an aggregate planning, we should have some particular inputs. That is nothing but your prerequisites you should have. So that is, what are those prerequisites? Nothing but information about the resources. As a manager, about your industry, you should have some particular knowledge. How many number of resources we have, what are the facilities we have in our industry. Okay, those things you should have a knowledge. Next is demand forecasting. For example, I have told an example of a TV. So 32 inches is more demand, or 62 inches is a more demand. So that demand forecast should be there in your brain. As a market supervisor, as a production in charge, or as a manager, you should have that knowledge of demand, how the demand is going to change. That forecasting should be done. Forecasting is nothing but prediction. Next is cost of various alternatives and resources. So cost of various alternatives and resources is nothing but what will be the cost involved if I suddenly give the overtime, what will be the cost of overtiming, what will be the cost of contracting, what will be the cost of laying off of employees, so what will be the cost of back ordering. So these cost details should be have a knowledge, what will be the amount required for subcontracting. So that knowledge should be there for the manager. Next is organizational policies. So every company will have their own policies which they don't want to change. Okay, so for example, if you take a few companies will have the product, they will not go into other industries, they will not enter into food industries like this. So their policy should not be changed. We should try to maintain, as a manager, we try to achieve their policies. So these which we have discussed are nothing but the inputs of our aggregate planning which we are going to plan. If you plan this aggregate according to these inputs, will give the outputs. For example, if you see there is a demand forecasting is considered as an input. So how many number of outputs we are going to give, that is inventory levels how we are going to do. So what are the cost we have? If there is a capacity constraint, what is the capacity or what is the number of machines? Basing on that we will give a back ordering or subcontracting like that. Okay. So basing on the financial conditions, either we have to go for regular timing or overtiming, we will decide. So basing on these 5 inputs, the outputs of the aggregate planning will be planned. Okay. So the resources inputs are resources. In resources we will see workforce and facilities. Demand forecasting nothing but what is the output, policies, subcontracting, overtime, whether we will go for subcontracting with the particular company or not. What are the costs involved is nothing but inventory carrying cost, back ordering cost, hiring cost. Hiring cost is nothing but if you want to hire someone, you should conduct an interview. For conducting an interview, you have to give paper ad, you have to give like email ads, either you have to give hoardings. So these, how much amount of cost is involved in all these things. Next is overtiming. If an employee is doing overtiming, how much amount of cost should be given for a particular employee, like if it is a specialized employee, if it is a supervisor, how much amount of cost will be given to the supervisor, like this. Inventory changes. If suddenly inventory changes, how we have to plan. Next is aggregate planning output. So aggregate planning output is nothing but the total cost of the plan, how much we are going to plan. Projected level of inventories. Inventories we are going to maintain to an optimum level. Outputs we are going to achieve as per the forecast. Next is employment. We will try to maintain the employment. Okay. So for planning this aggregate planning, we will follow some steps. So the first step is nothing but choose a strategy. So about strategy we will see in further. So there are different types of strategies. One is level strategy, second is chase strategy, third one is hybrid or combination of both level and chase. Level strategy we will see in next slides. Like next is determine the aggregate production rate, how much amount of cost is involved in this production. Calculate the size of workforce, how much amount of men is required for the particular plan. Test the plan as follows. What we have to plan, we have to calculate the inventories, like how much amount of inventory is present and how much amount of cost is involved. So these things. Okay. So we'll directly go to, so what are the considerations for aggregate planning is costs are the important, but other things which are main perspectives of aggregate planning is customer satisfaction, operational effectiveness. Operational effectiveness is nothing but are our plans working properly. If you are making 100 parts, is the operation perfect? So workforce morals. Workforce morals means you should today you are calling an employee, tomorrow you are firing the employee, means it's not a moral. So how we are following those morals with the workforce or with the men, and successful considering all this, above all these factors. Aggregate planning considers each of these factors. A successful aggregate plan will consider all these factors, that is including cost. It will also consider the customer satisfaction, it will also consider the operational effectiveness, it will also consider the workforce morals. Okay. So evaluating the aggregate plans, how we are planning level strategy plan and chase strategy plan. So level strategy plan will use a constant workforce. Constant workforce means they will always produce a same amount of products, they will not change basing upon the demand. If demand increases or decreases, they are not at all bothered, they will try to maintain the production. Okay. So what they will do is when demand suddenly increases, when the demand is less, so they will take that back ordering and they will satisfy in the when the demand suddenly increases. I will show you that in the graph, then you can able to understand. Chase plans. In this chase plans, we will try to minimize the inventories and we will try to maintain, we will try to achieve the demand of the customer. We will not go for more or we will not go for less. As per the demand. If it is 10 means we will go for 10. If it is 20 means we will go for 20. Okay. So this is a level production. So our level chase strategy. In level strategy, if you see, so if even though I will show this diagram, if you see this diagram, the demand has suddenly fallen. Let us take this as 10. Even though they will produce 50 parts here. So how many parts are left out is 40. So in this part, again they are producing only 50, but whereas there is a demand for 100 parts. So what they will do, whatever is left out in the previous production, they will combine with this and they will sell to the demand. And they will try to satisfy the demand. Every time they will try to do this. So what are the advantages is nothing but the workforce will be continuously maintained. So there is no hiring and there is no firing of the employees. So the stability of outputs will be produced. So disadvantages in this is the ideal time will be more. If you see here, so even though there is a huge demand, so the labor will produce only this 50 parts and he will take rest and he will be completed. There is no overtime, there is no nothing. So there will be ideal time of the employees. Okay, there will be ideal time of the employees. Resource utilization may vary time to time. Okay. Next is chase strategy. So chase strategy, I have already discussed that it is nothing but we will try to achieve as much amount of demand is there, we will try to achieve that demand as per the expectations. So what are the advantages is this in this is the investment will be less, because if the demand falls, we can remove the employee, so we can reduce the salary of the salary of that employee will be saving for me. Next is labor utilization is high. If suddenly there is a large amount of demand is there, though I will utilize the labor 100% so that I can meet the demand. So what are the disadvantages is nothing but cost of adjusting this, reducing the labor, increasing the labor, reducing the labor, increasing the labor and machine, which involves a large amount of cost. So this is the main disadvantage of your chase demand forecast. So to overcome these two drawbacks or these two defects, a hybrid strategy has been utilized. A hybrid strategy is nothing but we will try to follow the level method. If suddenly the demand increases, we will try to do the employees overtime and we will try to reach the production. We will try to reach the demand of the customer. Okay. So this is a method in which we will try to follow both the techniques, either it is a level chase method as well as the chase method. Okay. So if you see here, so what are the comparison? If you see the level of labor skill required in chase demand is low, because every time the demand is being up and down, we cannot keep the labor constant with us, so it will be changing. But whereas in this level capacity it is high, because every time you produce a same amount of material, so the labor skill will be more. Whereas in this the hiring layoff cost will be low in this, whereas in this the hiring layoff cost will be high. Okay. So as per the details which you have obtained from aggregate production planning, either in terms of cost, either in terms of forecasting the demand, either in terms of like subcontracting, basing on that we will try to produce a schedule for the production. So that is nothing but master production schedule, a complete plan for the production. If it is for 100 parts, so what is our production schedule, how we are going to schedule our parts. First 10 parts will be produced when, next 10 parts will be produced when. So this way they will time to time they will plan. So the aggregate production plan will be broken down into small pieces, and those small parts will be given to mass production schedule. You can take the one example which I have given in previous, that is 1000 TVs has to be produced in a month. Okay. So among these 1000 TVs, I have told that 600 TVs are 32 inches, 400 TVs are your other sizes. So all the 600 I should not produce in a first week itself. So what I will plan in this particular month, first week will produce 150 TVs. Along with that 150 TVs, other sizes will be produced 50 pieces. So for first week 200 pieces. In this way they will divide the plan and they will produce the parts, or they will produce the products. Okay. So this is master production scheduling. So what are the functions? If you see, they translate the aggregate plan to a specific end time. Specific end time means, if you see in aggregate planning, I have told that the planning will be done for 2 to 6 months, whereas in production planning we will make it for particular time, like a particular month, particular week, like that they will plan. Okay, the next is to generate the material requirement. How much amount of material is required for completing the production, that can be understood from this. Okay, to main valid priorities. To main valid the priority is something, but which part is to be produced first? Either it is 32 inch, 64. Which is prioritized first? So that priority should be given. With the mass production schedule, we can able to give the priority to the parts. Okay. Next is effective utilization of the capacity. Capacity, when I say, it comes both your material and men, or as well as your machine. Okay. So these are the inputs for the master scheduling, and these are the outputs for your master scheduling. Beginning of inventory, projected inventory, forecast will be converted to master production schedule. Customers order will be converted to uncommitted inventories. Okay. So master production schedule based on the actual customers order and the predicted demand. So what is the actual customer requirement? What is our demand? For example, you have predicted that in this month there will be a rise in the demand of the product by 10%, but actually it is not happening. So it is only rising to 50%, or it is only rising to 10 parts or 5 parts. So as per that we are planning the master production schedule. Okay. Indicate when each ordered item will be produced in coming weeks. So whatever is I am giving the order to the company, so each order will be completed at by what time, how many number of parts will be completed in what coming week, on which week it is particular what part will be completed. That complete schedule will be given in this. Okay. It is a specific plan of timing and quantity of production till it comes to the end point. So MPS inputs from sales and marketing. So if you see, I have given an example again, we will see this example. So in aggregate production planning, we are planning that there is a requirement of 1500 bulbs or 1500 amplifiers in the month of January. We have predicted that. So we are planning that this 1500 means it includes all 240 watt amplifier, 75 watt amplifier, 150 watt amplifier. So everything is included, because aggregate means all together. But whereas in this particular week there is a demand for 240 watt amplifier, so we will produce only 240. So in this way production scheduling will be done for that particular week, what is the demand and how many number of parts has to be generated. Okay. Next is material requirement planning. Material requirement planning is a technique that converts the master schedule into final product. What you have planned in the master production schedule, for completing that production you require some amount of material. Okay, that requirement will be completed by MRP1. You call it as a MRP1, material requirement planning. It indicates when each material is to be ordered or delivered to the customer. For example, how many number of parts has to be, for example, you have to produce 100 parts. For producing 100 parts, do we have the same amount of material with us? So we'll be able to deliver this 100 parts on the date of the delivery to the customer. So these materials, regarding the materials, either how to purchase the material, either we have the material in warehouse, these all details will be dealt with material requirement planning. It mainly provides the information about the raw materials, components, sub-assemblies required for the parts. Okay. So we have different inputs for the material requirement planning. The first input is from the master production schedule. On what date, how many parts are required, that is an input for the material requirement planning. For example, I have given, see here, 100 parts has to be developed up to 240 watt amplifier. So in that particular week, how many materials are required to produce this 240 watt amplifier, like that. Okay. So here they have given sales order, sales forecast, spare part. So these are inputs for the master production schedule. So what are the sales orders? What is the sales forecast? What are the spare parts requirement? How many are required? These inputs to this, and from this input we are getting to material requirement. And next input is nothing but inventory record file. Inventory record file is nothing but I have given example like 100 parts are 100 240 watt amplifiers are required, which I have to produce as per the sales order. But inventory, we have stored some inventory, like we have already some 10 or 15 amplifiers, so we need not to plan for 10 parts, so you need to plan only for 90. So in this way they will take the inventory record. From the inventory record, actually how many parts are required for us, we will plan. Okay. Next is bill of materials. So this bill of materials is nothing but detailed parts. For example, in amplifier, you take, consider me a screw and a nut. Okay. So the screws will be used in different parts. So if the same screw is used in one particular part which you are going to produce, which you are making for material requirement planning, so according to bill of material, you have already purchased that for other parts. So where it is not used now, it will be used in further. So I can take that material from there and we can use for the particular part. So this is the use of the bill of material. So we will see all these things in detail in next class. Along with this, we will try to finish manufacturing resource planning, which is the next part of material MRP1 and MRP2 we will try to complete. After that, we will be having a last topic of like SAP, that is nothing but ERP. With that we can end our fourth unit. Okay, thank you.